The US Treasury has RLUSD listed as one of the stable coins to be looking out for. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Ripple becoming a bank. You need to be paying attention because once this happens, it's going to be all over but the shouting. You also have Brad Garlinghouse talking about stablecoins and why we need so many. Cathie Wood's going to talk to us about Bitcoin exploding like gold. I got some other XRP content, guys. We got some Finastra content at the end, connecting that to Ripple. It's going to be a great video. If you get value, please hit like. Let's get into it. So what are the potential consequences of stablecoin growth on the Treasury market? With an exception that stablecoins will continue being backed by fiat assets and the tokenized money market funds, MMFs are money market funds, will continue serving as an alternative investment product for investors. The portion of USTs held by such issuers is likely to be correlated with the overall instrument growth, which means how many treasuries it needs to back up their stablecoin. As the stablecoin grows and becomes bigger, they need more treasuries. That's why Scott Bessette said stablecoins are such an important piece to America's, national security, because if the bond market goes the way of the dodo bird, the world is going to be in trouble. Everybody is in US dollars. You have to understand that it's still the global reserve currency, no matter how, no matter how many people say, the de-dollarization, all this stuff. Yes, it's happening, but it's going to be very slow. You can't use the Chinese yuan because 90-something% of it's actually in China. It's not used for global trade. People are, don't really use the British pound after. I was reading something the other day. There was some kind of financial crisis a few years back that, made it a little bit untrustworthy. I need to do some more due diligence. If you know what's happened, please let me know down in the comments. But also, Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, they're just not used on a massive scale for global trade. So you're still there for the US dollar. So now we need to rebalance the bond market. And the way to do that is pushing more value into stablecoins. That'll get more money into the bond market and stabilize this, especially if Ripple takes over Circle. Could you imagine coming into $61 billion worth of liquidity? Oh my God, it will be interesting. Ripple is going to become a bank. Also, guys, don't believe the 20 billion. It just doesn't make sense, right? Why would you offer 5 billion and then go to 20 billion? If you are in sales, if you've ever sold something, you understand that you don't just, 300% or 400% your offer, right? You go up in increments. That is what a good negotiator does. And if you think Ripple doesn't have a good negotiator, what are we doing, right? All right, Ripple is going to become a bank. And when it does apply and get a banking license, everything changes. This isn't just a tech company anymore. This is the future Fed wrapped up in blockchain. Bookmark this, right? So it says, most people think that Ripple is a cross-border payments company. Wrong. Ripple is building the infrastructure layer for the new financial system, and acquiring a banking license is the final piece. With one license, they can unlock unfiltered access to global money. What happens when a tech company becomes a bank? Direct access to central bank systems, ability to issue loans, credit, and even custody assets, legal power to handle both fiat and crypto, seamless integration with CBDC, stablecoins, and so much more. Elimination of intermediaries. You also have Ripple isn't trying to partner with banks. It is trying to replace them. Ripple is partnering with banks. I think, some people get a little drastic on here. All good though. All good. I like the spirit. So they're already preparing. Ripple has U.S. regulatory clarity from the SEC case. We had an update from the SEC case. They are going to meet, I believe, on Tuesday. And from Eleanor Terrett, she believes that meeting, they will be walking away from the Ripple case finally. Thank God. Global payment corridors across 70 countries, CBDC pilots in Bhutan, Palau, Montenegro, and more. I believe some of these, pilots in some of these countries that became actual, CBDCs, I believe these were just tests in smaller countries for the bigger countries to understand that the technology works. It does, people are starting to use it. Like if you go into places like Palau that don't really have credit cards and things like that, being able to have a stablecoin on your phone is something that is going to improve everyday people's lives. And I think that will happen here in America too, right? Like I talk about this all the time, but imagine you work an hourly job. Like every hour you get paid whatever it is, right? Some people get paid $10. Some people get paid a few hundred, depending on what your skill level is in your field. Imagine being able to be paid every day. Imagine being able to be paid every hour you work. That's how cheap it's going to be to send these type of payments. That will change people's lives. And then here is all the connections that Ripple has. We know, some of the biggest world leading financial institutions, organizations, ISO, International Monetary Fund, the Internet, the World Bank, the ISDA, you don't have CME Group on here, but I would add CME Group. Man, just so much stuff here. Why would Ripple even want one? Because being a licensed bank, instant legitimacy, global access, and regulatory immunity. Instead of fighting regulators, Ripple would become the infrastructure regulators use. And then there's more. A banking license also allows Ripple to issue Ripple branded stablecoins beyond RLUSD, which we know is coming, offer institutional custody, become a gateway for tokenized real world assets, legally hold reserves in multiple jurisdictions, act as a digital clearinghouse for CBDCs. Imagine Ripple getting a banking license in the United States and in places like the UK, right? Or in Europe. Hey, I think people are sleeping on it. Still think this cannot be true. Ripple already acquired Medico, a custody firm trusted by banks. It's been expanding into real estate tokenization and trade finance. It offered $5 billion to acquire Circle, the issuer USDC. It's hiring aggressively for regulatory and compliance roles. Ripple is granted a digital banking license. It launches Ripple Bank, custodial plus DeFi services. It holds treasuries, issues credit, moves dollars on chain. It connects directly with the Fed and Swift. It becomes the back end of the CBDC distribution. Just like the chance of this happening, right? If you go buy a lottery ticket today, what do you think the odds are of you winning? I think it's like 1 in 300 million. Okay. Knowing what you know today about Ripple and XRP, what do you think the odds of all of this happening are, right? I bet you it's a lot better than 1 in 300 million, right? And to me, this is my lottery ticket, right? I'm taking a leap of faith here. I don't know the future. I don't know what is going to happen, but I know the research I've done over the past 5 years has led me here. And I have to trust myself, because if I don't, I'll never forgive myself. And I think people need to trust more in their selves too than listening to, some other people. All right, CBDCs, XRP, stablecoins, XRP, tokenized securities, XRP, real estate, XRP. You get the picture. All right. And then, Ripple acquiring Hidden Road. It's a big deal, right? Prime broker connects them DeFi to centralized finance. That is what we've been missing. We are there. All right. And then you have Brad Garlinghouse talking about what do we need so many stablecoins? Check this out.
I'm not sure is the short answer. I think stable coins as a category, have a role to play, particularly in domestic settlement. I haven't yet seen exactly where the U.S. is going to come out here. Other countries around the world clearly are doing more ahead of the U.S. and how they're kind of approaching central bank issued digital assets. What's confusing to me is why do we need 10 different US dollar stable coins or 20?
I'm going to ask you for a favor, guys. I'm here recording on a Sunday because I want to get this content out to you. If you're getting value from this content, please hit like. That does help out the channel. I think a lot of you really love the channel and you forgot to hit like. Please do. I appreciate it.
And then finally, always like to talk about Bitcoin to gold. And again, gold going parabolic did take this ratio down, but you'll notice that it did not break the uptrend that is in place and that we think will remain in place. Bitcoin did act more as a risk on asset in the market's recent correction. It behaved like the NASDAQ, unlike gold. But we believe that it was just correcting to this trend line because the Bitcoin price went up so much more than the gold price last year. So we think that this trend line will continue to move up if we're right that we're moving back into a risk on environment.
All right, we're moving back on to a risk on environment. Pay attention to that. That means people are going to be putting more money into the cryptocurrency market. So Wrath Economy says this report from last November, equities research by Sacra values Ripple at $15 billion currently. Remember, Ripple's not interested in IPOing just yet. They don't want to IPO in a down market. They want to IPO when everything is going really well. But I think Ripple really wants to stay a private company, right? Because they can do more being a private company. They don't have to report to the shareholders, right? I just think Ripple wants to keep it on the DL. This video is brought to you by What.Exchange, built on the Orderly Network. This is a community-driven, decentralized, perpetual exchange. The UI is off the chain and it looks really, really good. We also have over $100 billion in trading volume on 71 different currency pairs. The supported chains currently are AVAX, Base, Optimism, Arbitrum, Ethereum, Mantle, Solana, and I hear they are trying to add more as we speak. The fees on this are 0.05%. taker and 0.02% maker. It is very, very quick, high speed. Unlock additional benefits, advanced order and algorithmic order executions also coming soon. Seamless trading, decentralized trading, enhanced security and self-custody. And you can also stake the WHAT token to receive up to 90% revenue share and also more features. They also have a really good looking UI. Like I said, it has a great order book. Yes, you can trade XRP on here as well with up to 20x leverage if you so choose to. When it comes to security, Orderly has been audited by multiple security firms, including Halburn, Zellick, Guardian audits. You can get all of that information in their documentation in their GitHub right here. Just scroll all the way down to the bottom. As you can see, the documentation is here next to the staking. The communities are Discord and X. And here is the roadmap through 2025 and beyond. There is a link down in the description of this video. I hope you can use my link. That really does help me out, and have fun trading on what.exchange. Let's get back into the video. All right, so here, check this out for Smoke Dog. He says, enter crypto. This is Ultra's early stage crypto investor. I don't know what the hell that is, but I thought this was important to read to you. Enter crypto. Crypto just happens to be the latest crucial innovation following Moore's law. It's a next leg of technology working to help decentralize and distribute networking and control ownership of those networks. Coupled with a few things, edge computing, crypto helps to solve the biggest bottleneck on the internet: centralization. As Nadella pointed out, centralized networks are hitting a wall, and crypto is nibbling away at centralized networks faster than 99% of the world understands, right? Listen, if you brought everybody in the world together in one place, could you imagine all those people? Man, or the bathrooms? Scary. But, imagine you putting 99% of the population on one side and 1% of the population on the other. That's you. You are the 1%, right? That has to mean something. You see something that other people don't. That is special. To me, that is special. I hope you understand that, all right? And I know, some people have a few hundred or a few thousand, to put into the crypto market. Try to make the best decisions out here, because you could turn that into something really special, right? Remember the guy that sold like 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas, right? All these years later, right? It was $1 billion on 2 pizzas. Wow. Banks, for example, are already biting their nails about how much decentralized finance DeFi would eat away at their bottom line in the next couple of years. If you look at the adoption rate of crypto around the world, it's way faster than the growth of the internet in the early days. So the growth of the crypto market is accelerating faster than people adopted the internet. Understand that everybody in the world right now uses the internet if they have a connection. Of course, there's some people in some places, Sensei, there's some people that don't have the internet. I understand. A large part of the population has the internet and uses it every day. The same thing is going to happen with the crypto market. Even if people don't realize they're using it, it's going to be used, right? They're sending a payment and it goes instantly and it's much cheaper than they're used to. What is going on? Why is that so much better? You're using crypto. Oh my God, the crypto, I could have got into that. My friend told me about that years ago. Man, I messed up. That is what we're going to hear over the next 5 to 10 years. Aren't you going to be excited to go into a bar or a restaurant and people are going to come up to you and be like, oh, that's a nice car, What do? Oh, I invested in XRP early. You invested in XRP early? Oh my God, watch. When it plays out, send me a message. That exact situation, send me a message. I want to hear about it. All right. It's way faster than the growth of the internet. We already read that. That said, if you think you're late to the game, you'll be happy to learn you're wrong, right? You still have time. Get your together. Please, let's go. Coinbase CEO and crypto will eat most of the financial services. Also, guys, if you're not subscribed and you keep coming back and watching my content, please subscribe. Doesn't hurt you. All right, Ripple partner Finastra. It is the first time in history that all payments are moving to digital. Now, one of the biggest financial services company working with the banks is telling you, hey, it's the first time in history that all payments are moving to digital. Imagine listening to that.
In our industry, it's probably the wrong way of looking at it. I think the real issue that we have here is it's a very profound change that we're going through. And it's a great time to be in payments, because there's never been a time before in our industry where we've moved from analog payments, because that's what everything has been before, to digital payments. And instant payments around the world are pretty much all now being deployed as digital instant payments. And that makes a huge, huge difference. And I think, therefore, that paradigm is probably the most important thing. We talk about instant payments, but actually, if you juxtapose the two, we're really talking about the move from analog, as I say, to digital. And that is the most profound piece. So I have...
All right. And then you also have Ripple to bring blockchain technology to Finastra's banking customers, right? Ripple partner Finastra a video describing how they can integrate into banks and connect them banks to Swift. Check this out.
As cross-border payment options exist, it's no easy task to connect to new payment rails. The process often includes costly and complicated integration work, with vendor onboarding and implementation taking many months. How can your bank quickly implement a new payment rail while reducing costs, increasing revenue, and win back customer loyalty? Welcome to Finastra's Payments Connectivity Marketplace, a carefully curated marketplace of payment rails designed to connect banks to pre-integrated payment providers. We've done the hard work for you. Our marketplace includes best-in-class, trusted payment providers that we've pre-integrated into our total messaging solution.
Hold on. There's 3 here, okay? 2 of them are Ripple enabled, right? And one of them has worked with Ripple on so many different projects. It is insane. Ripple, Thunes, Ripple, right? Okay. All right. Okay.
It's your choice which providers to use. Our transformative technology allows you to reach the countries and disperse payments via the endpoints your customers demand, so you can remain focused on your business and not the burden of a heavy technical integration. Our seamless, pre-integrated solution means there's no integration work for your bank and no technical resources are needed. What it does mean is fast onboarding, all while delivering exceptional payment services through a growing number of innovative payment providers. Get ready to respond to your customers' needs and connect them to anywhere in the world. Contact your account manager today to see your cost savings and potential uplift in revenue.
If you are a company that does payments and you're working with Finastra, ask them, are you using Ripple? That'd be fun. Let me know how that goes. And, there are other tokens that you should be paying attention to, right? It's not all XRP. There are some tokens here that you have to take a look at. SUI, something we've been talking about since it was 70 cents, right? It's at like almost $4 now. Come to Sensei Chats every Tuesday, Friday, 3:30 PST. You'd have had SUI at 70 cents. XDC, man, we it'd have bought that back in like 21 or 22, right? HBAR, Algorand, this is the new financial system. If you own all of this, and there's Cardano at the end here, if you own all of this, you have a great shot for your future. Don't fuck it up. I'll see you. Have a good Sunday.